Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the 3 Under Par podcast, where Little White Ball is life. I'm your host, Scotty T, and we got a surprise episode dropping for you today. Hope everybody out there has a great weekend. And for this episode, we have 4-4 Golf Dave Gapes coming all the way from Perth, Australia on the show. I've been looking forward to this for a very long time, and this is a fantastic interview. Dave and I talk for a little bit less than an hour, and we just talk about golf content. We talk about President's Cup, what's it like to golf all the way in Australia, because we are based here in the United States in Houston, Texas, so it's a little bit different in that regard. And then we just talk about the state of YouTube golf. Dave is a very popular and up-and-coming YouTube golfer, so go check out his channel, go give him your support, and we just have a blast. We really do. We cover a variety of topics, and his channel 4-4 Golf is following his journey from shouting 4 to becoming a 4 handicap. He gives us an update on how that journey is going and what he is doing, taking steps to get there to that 4 handicap. So we hope you enjoy this interview. Before we dive into it, follow us on social media at 3 Under Par Pod. That is the number 3 Under Par Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Subscribe, rate, and review on the podcast. For right now, for a few more days, if you give us a review on Apple Podcasts as well as 5 stars, I will send you a box of Pro V1s and or a 3 Under Par hat. And if you're watching here on YouTube, go ahead and click that subscribe button as well. And then comment below on what you think of the interview. We've had a good amount of YouTube golfers on the show, going back to the Bogey brothers at the beginning of the year, as well as Dougie Barnard, and now we have Dave Gapes. It's a new space that we are entering in, and there's some phenomenal people in this YouTube golf community. So we all want to go out and support each other, so go check out those channels. Dave Gapes, 4-4 Golf, it's fantastic. We hope you enjoy this interview, and remember, Little White Ball is life. All right, we have a very special guest, somebody that I've been looking forward to getting on the pod for a long time. We have Dave Gapes of 4-4 Golf, coming all the way from down under, across the world, from Australia. Dave, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm really good, Scotty. Really good, mate. It's as you said, it's tomorrow here because the time difference and stuff like that, and yeah, enjoying it. And we're in the middle of winter, but it's still kind of about 50 degrees, something like that, in your money rather than mine. But
right.
It's
so you're literally in the future.
It's always tomorrow here. That's what. That's when I talk to my brother-in-law who lives in New York predominantly. Yeah, that's the way we always talk. That it's always tomorrow in Australia.
Right, man, that's awesome. Which again, really looking forward to it. We're going to talk like some golf content, YouTube golf. This is a new space that we're diving into, so really excited to talk about that, as well as Australia golf. So one of our co-hosts on the pod, Kyle, he actually went down to Australia. No, I'm sorry, New Zealand. He went down to New Zealand in January, and he was just raving about just how different it is. Because here in Houston, it's really flat. Like we're right on the coast, the Gulf Coast of Mexico, and it's just sea ball, hit ball, sea hole. Like that's really about it. So I'm curious to hear a little bit more Australian golf in general. So
yeah, sure. So I think where I am is Perth, Western Australia, right? So once it's a 4-hour flight to get to the other side of the country, so it's a big place. It's like America, basically,
right,
or similar size to America. So where I am, I'm quite close to the coast, and most of the golf courses here are quite close to the coast as well. So They are kind of flat, but it's there are also a few. Like I've done a video a couple of weeks ago, a course called Araluen up in the Perth Hills. And it was like that, and then like that, and then like that, and then like that. So you definitely get some huge variations. I think certainly over on the East Coast, you get so many more varied courses where they are a lot more up and down, and and just challenge you in different ways. But we're quite fortunate. Most of it's Melbourne in itself. We just had the President's Cup last December at Royal Melbourne, and that whole region has got just phenomenal golf courses, and they call it the Sandbelt region, and that we have similar type of soil. So it's basically just it's a similar soil to like a lot of links courses are. So we get some, even though you wouldn't necessarily associate Australia and links golf, like we do have some really quite interesting links style courses. And being on the coast, you know, we get a pretty consistent wind over here. So since I moved here, I've had to learn to play in the wind, because almost like clockwork, around 2 or 3 o'clock every day, the sea breeze comes in and it's strong, and it's a different golf course then. So
sounds like early tee times then to avoid the wind, which I'm all for. Beat the heat, beat the wind. That sounds great. So that's pretty wild that Australia was hosting the President's Cup. At least I would say here in the States, home run. Like, especially since it traditionally hasn't been very competitive. International team was really making a run at it. Of course, Tiger Woods, just when Tiger's playing great, it's awesome. It's just good for golf. Well, what was the atmosphere like in Australia, like getting to host the President's Cup?
Yeah, look, I think overall, you know, it was received really, really well. It's in summer here, you know, when it was held December, right? So you know, people were enjoying being out there. There was a general excitement because, to be honest, for the American team, right? You know, it's not very often. Well, it's not very often that we have players like that play in Australia. Probably of that team, Tiger has played in Australia a bit early in his career. Not so much, certainly not since he returned from injury. And I think some of the ones early in his career were really about money, where they paid for him to come over, right? But certainly Jordan Spieth, he's played in the Australian Open.
He's won it, if I believe, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. He's won it at least once as well. So, but yeah, we don't very often get to see those players here in Australia. And as anyone watching this has now worked out, I'm not originally from here. I'm from the UK originally, right? But still, I've been here for nearly 10 years, so I consider myself Australian now, right? So, so we don't get those big players come here very often. You know, where I am on this side of the country, we do have a European Tour event, and that is, you know, that's quite good. We have that every couple of years, the ISPS Hander, and they actually did that as a Super 6 last year. So it was the first 2 days were stroke play, and then they went into a match play format that was elimination match play up to an event winner, which was quite an interesting, different tournament. And so the match play, they only played 6 holes. That's why it was called a Super 6. So they had multiple matches out in the course. So that kind of had like a Ryder Cup or a President's Cup feel as well. But yeah, coming back to that, to your actual question, definitely we got excited about it here, because we don't see those guys every day, and any opportunity to see Tiger Woods on a golf course is something that
it's special.
You with both arms. Now, I couldn't get across to Melbourne, unfortunately. But,
no.
I do know people that went, and you know, one of the by a mile the largest golf channel in Western Australia is Alex Etches, or Golf Box TV. He went across to it. He actually got behind the ropes, you know, and stuff like that, and seeing that from someone that I know is, you know, that was pretty impressive, right? So
yeah, absolutely.
And to be fair, the international team put up quite a good fight. You know, I mean, in the end, you know, it was a fairly comfortable victory for the Americans, but it didn't necessarily look like that the whole way. So I think that helped as well.
No, it sure didn't. And it's also tough to comparing it to the Ryder Cup, which has a lot more tradition, and Europeans they dominate the Americans in the Ryder Cup. So it feels more like a bit of a rivalry that's developing. But hey, if the international team can keep captains like Ernie Els, or even get like a Mike Weir, or people who are really liked, and if they can get Ho Sung Choi to wake up and play practice rounds, then they might be able to compete a little bit. But who knows?
I think, you know, that international team, they're very dependent on a few nations. You know, definitely. South Africa and Australia, certainly. Obviously, there's some great players out of Asia as well, you know.
Hideki Matsuyama, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. Hideki and I can't think of the name of the Chinese player as well. It's escaped me.
Hao Tong Lee. I said Ho Sung Choi earlier. Hao Tong Lee. I apologize. Yeah.
Hao Tong. Yeah.
Yes.
Hao Tong. So, like that, and then there's players coming through. Abraham Ansah, playing for Mexico. Obviously,
he's great.
Yeah, he gave Tiger a decent match. And it's
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think that'll be an interesting one next time round, because we are seeing some of these players coming through, particularly through the European tour, from nations that are outside of Europe that are a lot stronger. And there's some good young players coming through out of Australia as well, out of the system here. So.
Yeah, I was about that. So that was one of the questions I wrote down is it hard to watch golf considering most of the best players do play on the PGA Tour, which we could talk about the differences between the Euro Tour and the PGA Tour, but generally people want to play on the European Tour. Paul Azinger ruffled some feathers talking about Tommy Fleetwood about that a few months back, but is it hard to watch golf down in Australia?
Yeah, in real short terms, yes.
Yes.
It means if I want to watch a PGA Tour event, particularly if it's on the west coast of the US, it's just middle of the night,
Wow.
and so I tend to use like a streaming service rather than like a cable TV or anything, so that I can do like a catch up, and I can watch it in real time. I'm not watching it in real time, but real time for me, if you like, because I still like to watch it live, but not necessarily at the time. So, but the European Tour is a lot easier for me to watch, particularly when they play in Asia, South Africa, the Middle East. When they do that little Middle East run, that's only a 4-hour time difference for me.
Oh, that's not bad.
That's easy, right?
Right.
And to be fair, that just means I'm about 11 a.m. something like that. I can start watching the golf and they're done by 7 at the latest, something like that. So that actually makes it a lot easier to watch. But look, if it's something special, not so much the PGA. I don't really get excited about the PGA Championship.
Yeah.
But the US Open and certainly the Masters. Yeah, I'll sit up and watch that live. Like no question.
Yeah, the Masters has almost set itself apart from the other majors, in my opinion. It definitely helps when you have like Tiger's chipping and Phil's, because I think it helps being at the same course every single year. You can see the shots, be like, or even if you go out there, you'd be like, you can stand where Bubba Watson hit that massive gap rope hook in the woods, and the U.S. Open changing every year. It's still great, but yeah, the PGA, it's still a major, I guess, but we have a running joke here on the podcast that the Players is probably more of a major than the PGA Championship now. So,
no doubt.
Yeah, we don't want to ruffle too many feathers by saying that.
And we haven't even mentioned the Open as well, the British Open as well,
of
which
course.
I'd love to. That's one that I will not miss. I'll watch every minute of that when that's on. So, but that's partly because of where I'm from as well. So
right, it's definitely a bucket list event to go to. I think, especially for Americans, it's like, hey, if you can, especially if it's at like St. Andrews, it's like, hey, we got to go at least one time. So. No, that's awesome. So, Dave, just got to take it a step back here a little bit. I love talking about it, though. Let's go. Yeah. 4-4 golf. How'd you come up with the name? Because I didn't even realize. I think even Dougie Barnard, who's been on the podcast, he even mentioned in comments on one of your videos, I didn't realize what 4-4 stood for. So, give us the background on that name.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I thought it was really obvious, but it was obvious to me, I suppose. So, yeah, I've actually started doing on all of the intros to my videos now, explaining it as well. So the idea for me was it was going from shouting for, and being, when I started playing golf again here, because I had a bit of a break from playing in the UK. So basically for the first 6 or 7 years living in Australia, I didn't touch a golf club, but I played when I was back in the UK, right? So so yeah, I was a 24 handicap when I finally got a handicap here. So
shouting for a little bit. Sounds
chatting
like
for a lot, mate.
Yeah.
I'd go home with a sore throat. So, and then after a little while, I got a camera, just a little, GoPro type camera, and I took that out on the golf course one day just to film my swing. That was all I was doing. I was filming my swing, and then I kind of enjoyed it, and I decided to make that into a video. I'd never made a video before. I had no idea whether, how I do it or anything like that, but I had a Mac, and I was like, well, it should be relatively easy. And then I started to think about how I could actually turn that into something that I turn out regular content. So I was just brainstorming, and then the idea, because I was probably shouting it so much, that's, kind of, well, I want to be getting better. And there were a lot of channels around, that I remember at the time that were like Hack to Scratch or Hacker to Single Figures, stuff like that. And all really good names. But I just wanted something that just kind of rolled a little bit better. And then that one came out. I do have to explain it, and Four ultimately is the handicap that I want to get to. All right.
Okay.
Well, it was the handicap I wanted to get to when I came up with a name. I'm acknowledging that is going to be a really, really big effort. So this year, the aim is just to get myself under 10. So I did make really good progress to start with. I dropped from a 24 down to about a 14 within, well inside a year. But then I've kind of stuck between 10 and 14 for the last 2 years. I just haven't moved. I've just kind of swung between the two, and I'm back out 14 again now, where I'm having, some lessons and trying to change the swing to actually get me to the next level. But I think, the one bit of advice, if anyone is thinking of a channel name or anything like that, is while I think this is a clever pun, when the words that you've got in there, phonetically sound exactly the same, it doesn't work.
Right.
They have to see it written down. Otherwise.
Yeah. Anybody who's listening, it's FORE to FOUR, like the hat says right there. Which the hat is clean. Hat looks good.
Thanks, man.
Big fan.
Yeah. I just did a giveaway, gave away this and T-shirt and stuff like that, So I don't think at this stage, if anyone does really want to buy one, I can make that happen. But at this stage, it's really just for branding purposes or anything like that, So,
right. Yeah, we just came up with some hats too. By the time this video comes out, the sale will probably be over. But yeah, we just did like a little -3 right here, and 3 under par. We'll see how it goes, and then hopefully as the podcast continues to grow, we'll be getting to the merch game a little bit. So that's the goal. But no, I think it's a really clever name. I really do. So kind of around that 10-14 stage. That's where we're at right now.
Yeah. Currently, we just moved in Australia to the World Handicap System in January, actually. So that added a shot on me. So like overnight,
it's like, dang it, come on.
Yeah. I was like, well, that's not really that fair, is it? So I went from like a 12.7 to a 13.7 overnight, and now I'm a 14.1. But I'm making some changes at the moment. I'm committed to the changes. I know it's going to be a long process, but my aim is and I've done a series of videos on kind of what my approach is to tackle that. So the first one's all about just working on short game and putting, and really putting some dedicated hours into that. The second one is around movement, and I've signed up to a system called Trainfully, and if I can just plug another channel for a second, Trainfully on YouTube. Cracking to free exercise, but not just exercise, mobility lessons on there tailored to golf. And the guy knows what he's talking about. He's a kinesiologist, which is not that easy to say. But he used to work with Barcelona FC, he's worked with Olympic athletes, and you can get content from him for free on YouTube. So go and check him out. And
definitely,
then the final
that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. And the final bit is just around my mental approach to the game. And that's what I've got a lot more of a focus on now. Just you know, and to be fair, the lessons that I'm having, or the coaching that I'm having from a friend is, who's a good player. It's not just a buddy, right? He's as much about the swing changes, but equally, if not more, about how I just get myself around the golf course and how I approach it. So, you know, I played earlier in the week, and you know, a couple of times I've stood there with driver on the tee box, and he's like, "No, go and get your hybrid,
right?
Go and get your hybrid, put it in play. This is a par 6 for you, you know," and that kind of thing, you know. So, you know, I went out the other day as well, and I did the classic. I've got the scorecard somewhere here actually, but I did the classic, you know, like you take the par and you cross out the actual par, and if you get a stroke on the hole, you change that par to that. So all of a sudden now I'm not looking at 36 par, I'm looking at a 42 par, and how do I play against that? So that kind of mindset, I think now will get me into that next bracket. I got so close at one point. I'd say I have been hovering around the 10. I got to 10.4, and I couldn't quite squeeze down that half a stroke to get 9.9. Just one day in my life, I want to be a 9.9, and I'll be happy. All right.
Hey, we gotta get all the way down to 4. That's the goal.
Well,
you know, it's tough, and I definitely respect the journey, because I can't really relate, to be honest, because I grew up playing the game. I was introduced at a very young age, played junior high school golf, a little bit into college. So it's like anybody, always love hearing people's journeys of how and why they got into golf, because I find it very fascinating, and I respect it almost even more, because to me it's almost like very natural. Just even like, you know, it's not the right comparison, but seeing an NBA player shoot a jump shot, it just looks right. It's like something they're born to do. Like golf just comes very naturally to me, I feel like. So I definitely respect it. And trying to get from the high handicaps to like a 10, so like 24 to a 10, it's a little bit easier. Once you hit that 10 mark, you almost got to work harder to shave off just one shot as opposed to shaving off 2 or 3. So I love it, though. One of your recent videos was on the TrackMan, it looks like. Was that one of your first times on the TrackMan? How'd that go?
Yeah, so I've been quite fortunate that we've got a few facilities here that offer it. The numbers that it produces are incredible.
It's game changer.
They give you insights that others don't. I suppose that the only thing that probably comes close to it, and maybe gets a little bit better at it, is foresight. Just because that can give you a bit more detailed club data, but it's not, you know, it's still good. I think for me that's a facility that most recently I've been on, that's just opened. I really hope that it's successful, because it's a great facility. They're not really gearing it up as somewhere that is necessarily like a Top Golf's not a good example, but I don't know if in the US, I'm sure you've got like these simulator places that are indoors, and you've got a bar and stuff like that, and it's quite social, you know.
Yeah, there are a few that are popping up, especially up in the Northeast, where golf season isn't as long. Here in Texas, it's more of your Top Golfs, or we actually had JJ Colleen on the podcast a few weeks ago. He plays on the Corn Ferry Tour now, but he's up in Lubbock, Texas, and they have something called Four Golf, very similar to Top Golf. So they're popping up here and there.
Yeah, so he doesn't really want it to be that kind of thing. You know, he's not going to have a bar, he's not going to have food. He wants good players to go there, basically, right? So he wants it to be somewhere where, you know, if it's players that are working towards getting onto the Australian tour, or, you know, we have a few Perth-based players that are making their way onto PGA and European tours as well. So, you know, he wants them to be able to use that in the men's and women's game, actually. And his business actually there is club fitting as well. So this is really just a side for him, you know. Mm-hmm. So I hope that it continues to be successful. But yeah, really powerful. I am mindful that you can get lost in numbers, though, and you know.
Yes, you sure can.
I'm looking at it and walking away from there and going, I cannot believe I'm hitting down 3 degrees with my driver. I need to do better at that and stuff like that. And I'm like, well, it didn't bother you for the last 2 years playing golf. So, I mean, why does it bother you now?
Right. So, it can be overwhelming sometimes, because especially on the track, when you see the spin rate and the club angle and just they can give you everything under the sun. It's almost easier, even though it's really helpful, it's almost easier to sometimes just go beat balls on the range and see what feels good. I think it depends on what kind of player or kind of person you are. Some people are more engineered types, some people are more creative types. So it just kind of depends on the person, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Now, most recently I went on it, and it was purely because it was raining outside. I couldn't get on the course. It was horrible. We had a storm coming through, so it's perfect for that. So instead of me just hitting balls on a range there or whatever, it has that ability to play courses, and stuff like that. So
definitely.
So, yeah,
I played the old course recently. I was on a TrackMan and just played the old course. I'm like, no big deal, right?
I wanted to do that one, but I'm going to save that one for a few videos time, I think. So, but yeah, I've been on it. I did Wilshire the other day, just because I've always heard Eric Adelslang talking about it from back in the day, and was interested. I played at Valderrama when I went on it the other day as well, which is a cracking course. And then, interestingly, on TrackMan's YouTube channel, they had like Sergio Garcia and Rafa Cabrera Bello playing at Valderrama as well. And I was like, oh, that's how you do it.
Yeah. Man. Hey, I love also the mental approach to it. Doug and I were talking about that when he was on. In my opinion, that is the fastest way to lose shots. Like you said, it's not taking driver on a hole. Maybe it's taking that hybrid, or which say pins on the right, so we don't want to short side ourselves. Learning how to maneuver a golf course, I think is really helpful. And you want to talk about where you can drop 5 shots like that. It's, hey, maybe I don't try to hit the hero shot out of the rough. I take the punch out, take my bogey instead. So, yeah, definitely. Yeah. Man, that's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, that one. Even when I played with the pro the other day, just that idea of, and it's not a new concept to me at all, but where the good miss is, when you're hitting an approach shot into a green, so we were on a par 3. It was mega downhill. Not so much mega downhill, but it was still long. Like it was 210 yards. Sorry, I have to do the conversion.
But say, do y'all play meters down there?
Yeah, we do. Which in itself was confusing for me because I came from playing yards in the UK, but now I've got used to playing meters, and then I go to Dubai and they play in yards. Okay, so I've got to go back, and so this was like a 210-yard par 3, so I'm like, well, I need a lot of club it, so I've pulled hybrid. And I've looked at what the pro's hitting. He's hitting a 6 on, and I know he's a pro, right? But
that's a deep 6-iron, though.
I'm only about a club behind him, right? So because distance is not a problem I have. All right, I can get the ball out there. It's just what direction out there it is that is the issue. So he just after I hit my shot, he went, just go and get your 5-iron now, and so I hit my 5-iron. I put it on the middle front of the green and 2 putts, from there. All right. Yep. Because that's where the miss was, and when as soon as I had that hybrid in my hand, I kind of still felt it was downhill, and he's like, nah, the miss is short. So take a club that if you absolutely nail it, it will get you there. If you're not, it's short, and that's the best place to go up and down. So that little nugget of information was just all of a sudden a light went on. It's like, right, that's the one I've got to start looking at approach shots and par 3s now, quite simply. So
I think, was it Ben Hogan? He said he only hits like maybe 2 or 3 good shots around. Like if Ben Hogan even says that, like, golf is a game of misses. Where can we put ourselves in position to either not mess up the most? That's like, So, man, that's awesome. Absolutely. Is it hard creating golf content? I kind of get that question every now and then, especially since, we started off as a podcast. For anybody checking us out, we've been doing the podcast for about 1.5 years, slowly branching out on YouTube more, recording the podcast or golf course reviews, whatever. So even for me, like I'm still getting used to it. I don't know. On your end, is it hard creating golf content?
It's been hard in the last few months. Yeah.
Well, yeah. It's are the courses opened up now? They are, aren't they? Where you're at?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we were really quite fortunate in Australia generally. I mean, I don't want to get into a COVID thing, but we're our isolation from the rest of the world definitely helped, right?
Right.
So we're in a lot better position than other countries, and if you are in one of those areas, I feel for
stay
you.
safe.
I really do. But yeah, the creating content, I think it helped me, because all of a sudden it was, you can't go to a golf course. You've got to start getting creative now. And look, you always think of your own stuff, but I actually think the stuff that I've turned out during that period was a lot better than some of the stuff before. And it was, to be honest, it was getting a bit stale what I was doing before.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't necessarily think of myself as a creative person, but I love thinking up new ideas of how I can do things. And look, when I say new ideas, there's no truly new idea, in our community, right? And anyone that thinks they have come up with something that no one's ever done before is dreaming, right? But what I think you can do is you can put your own stamp on it, right? And as long as you give a nod to where you've seen it or anything like that, I really don't see a problem with that. Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. So if you see something out there and you think, I'd really love to have a go at that, then go on and do it. So I think I just try and bring as much variety as I can into what I do. I've got kind of 4 pillars of videos that I create. There'll be course vlogs, product reviews, practice tips, although I don't do them as much because, one, who needs practice tips from a 14 handicapper? But I tend to focus more on what is working for me rather than than actually saying, if you slice the ball, try it, blah, blah.
Yeah. We'll leave that to Rick Shields on YouTube or
precisely,
something like that.
And Rick can get 1 million views on it in 3 days and stuff like that. That's fine. And then sometimes it's just this, right? It's just me giving my opinion and having a chat. So that in itself, kind of gives me a few different avenues, depending on what, if the weather's rubbish, well, then maybe I'll talk about something that I've been using, so I'm quite happy to do product reviews and stuff like that. This Sunday, so sorry, I don't know exactly when this video is going to come out, but as we're recording it, in a couple of days' time, we've got the shot tracer for Mac OS has been released. Okay. So I've reviewed that because I will use that. Right, no doubt. Right, I use shot tracer in my vlogs, and trying to do that on the phone is a pain in the backside, quite a lot. Right?
I haven't tried it yet.
Oh man,
so good luck.
Sometimes it's really fiddly. So, and also my eyes aren't the best. So, trying to do it on a small phone screen and everything is difficult. So now that you can do that actually on my Mac on a full screen, that's going to change the way I create vlogs. Right. It really will. So yeah, I mean, I like to do that because, I mean, this is the first thing I go and look for when these things come out as well. Has someone had a review of it, and what do they think of it? And the one thing that I will always do is give an honest review as well. If someone is going to provide something to me, I will tell you, but that hasn't happened yet. But if anyone does, then please, send me stuff.
Send it over. Send it over. I think to your point, people just want to see authenticity, especially when it comes to a game like golf, or it's like it can be the most frustrating thing in the world and almost bring people to their breaking points. It's always funny seeing those videos on Instagram of guy throwing his club in the woods or in the lake or whatever. But I think people want to be entertained at the end of the day, but also they want to feel like they can relate to you or just be real with the audience. Then there's nothing too much more that you can do.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's something. There's a guy that I've been talking to a bit, Aidan Judd, and he's talking about his trying to get his channel up and running and stuff like that. And sorry, Aidan, he probably doesn't want me saying this, but it's a real good point. You're talking about just being authentic, right? And the advice that I've given him is, if you don't feel comfortable talking to a camera, have someone behind the camera and talk to them, because I'm sure you're capable of having a conversation with someone, and that's all you need to get to the point. You need to get comfortable with feeling that this, I use an iPhone, so this iPhone is me just having a conversation with the world, right? So that was a real light bulb moment for me, that I finally became comfortable just talking to the phone as if it was someone else. It's a bit weird, but it's ultimately, that became
which I need to meet up with Aiden. Aiden doesn't live, I don't think he lives too far from where I'm at, like within 30 minutes. So Aiden, if you're watching, we'll meet up soon.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. Is it weird? Because, people that I play with a lot or whatnot, even if I just take like a quick Snapchat video or Instagram video, it's like generally phones are kind of frowned upon almost. Is it weird, like taking a camera or a phone out to record yourself playing?
I think it's getting better. I'll always ask a golf course, and I think it's less weird just generally in public. I don't do a lot of walking down the street, vlogging type stuff. Mainly because I'm too unfit for that. I just get a load of heavy breathing down the camera. So,
amen to that.
But yeah, I always ask. I haven't had a club yet say no, I don't want it.
That's good.
And most of them are more than happy to support videos when they come out as well and stuff like that. Particularly when I was in the Middle East, because they understand that there's no such thing as, free publicity is worth every penny. So
absolutely.
I don't so much have a problem with it. And I play in a couple of different. So I have a membership at course Sun City here, but I also play in a social group called Future Golf, that are basically like the second largest social golfing group in Australia. Okay. And so that might mean that, like, this Sunday coming, I'm in a group with 3 other people I've never met. All right. So
that's fun.
By the end of it, it'll be great, right? There's 3 more people that I might want to play golf with again, all right? But that sometimes is a little bit awkward, when I kind of, they either see the camera set up and stuff like that, and I'll have to take a photo and send what the setup is to you.
Please do.
When they see this on the front of my golf bag as I'm about to tee off, I can see them sort of like looking like, what's all that about? And I kind of have to have this awkward conversation and say, like, I run a YouTube channel, and stuff like that. And they're like, what is it? And I say the name, they go, I've never heard of it. And we do that dance for a little bit, but I did get recognised for the first time on the course the other day, which was
what was that like?
It was pretty cool. I wasn't necessarily prepared for it. I was, and the video will probably come out in about a week's time.
Okay.
I was just calling the group through because I was filming and I didn't want to hold them up. They were in a cart, so I was calling them through. And then, as they came through, I said, look, guys, sorry, I don't want to hold you up, all right? So you go. And they're like, oh, are you the 4-4 golf guy? And I'm like, hey, I am.
Hey.
Wow, all right, first time.
Yes.
That was cool. But no, I like even most of the guys in the group. I think a lot of people now have even just got the Shot Tracer app on their phone and stuff like that, and they're used to it. And I think as long as my rule is always, if I can film and maintain pace of play, then I will film. If I can't, then I won't film. Simple as that.
I like that. Pace of play is a big deal.
Yeah, it's very difficult to, if you want to try and film even myself, right, it's going to add probably half an hour to 9 holes, just filming myself, setting the camera up, stuff like that. When there's 2 players, that gets even worse, and
right.
So you've got to be respectful to everyone else. So if the course is quiet, I film as much as I want. But
I love it.
Just get out
That's
of the way.
great. Well, to the good people listening out there, go check out 4 to 4 Golf. I got some rapid fire questions for you, Dave. This has been so much fun. I really appreciate you carving out some time in the future for you, morning, evening time here right now. But, this has been a blast. So who are some of your favorite golfers to watch on the PGA Tour?
Rory McIlroy, Tommy Fleetwood, and Brooks.
Brooks, okay. He's so good. What did you think of Bryson? Bulking up like that.
Fair play to him. Like quite honestly, I saw a great meme the other day that said, can you imagine saying to your wife or your partner, I'm going to put 45 pounds on to get better at golf, and what her reaction would be, and look, I mean, there's people that are saying, the ball should be rolled back or they should be limited and stuff like that. You don't handicap these golfers, right? They're the best in the world, right? So, if they're doing things to advance themselves, then why should they be penalised for that? And why should you penalise everyone else? Because ultimately it'll penalise everyone else as well. So,
right.
Bryson didn't win either, right? So let's not forget that. Right.
He was close though. He was close.
He was close, but he didn't win. Sorry, this is rapid fire.
Okay, so Tommy, Rory, and Brooks.
Yeah.
And Tommy, I think, is this close to taking it to the next level. I mean, that guy's going to be a stud. I think it's like Samson, though, from the Bible. As long as he keeps his long hair, he'll be good to go. So, perfect. Some of your favorite courses to play in Perth?
In Perth, so it would be remiss of me to not pick my home course, Sun City.
Okay.
Genuinely, of those I've played, I think it's the best layout in Perth. It happens to be the closest to me. Then the other two standouts so far for me are Joondalup Resort, which is a Robert Trent Jones Jr. design.
Great.
And then one that I played a couple of weeks ago, Araluen Resort, that's up in the Perth Hills. That was just stunning. So, yeah.
That's
then
fantastic.
There's another one, the Cut, which is further south, which is an incredibly difficult golf course once that sea breeze comes in that I talked about. It's then borderline unplayable because it's right on the coast. Yeah. So.
Yeah. All right. What is your favorite club in the bag?
2-iron.
2-iron. You carry a 2-iron?
I do.
Wow.
Yeah,
that's aggressive.
That carries a 2-iron. Yeah. And I love it. I don't always hit it brilliantly, but I do love it. It's gorgeous. That's what I like most about it. But in terms of what I would feel most comfortable hitting, I actually really like hitting my 5-iron. I feel like if I could play around with my 5-iron, then I would. Yeah.
It sounds like who was it? Kevin Kisner with the 4Play guys over at Barstool challenged that he could beat Riggs with just a 5-iron. Like, sounds pretty cool. I'll be there for that. I'll watch that. Oh man. So, what are some of your favorite golf games to play while you're out playing?
Yep. Look, if we play a lot of Stableford scoring here because I know you don't play it a lot in the US, but it's effectively where you get 2 points for a par and then 3 points for a birdie, all based on your handicap. We play a lot of it. I don't really like it. I prefer playing stroke play if I'm going to play a competition because I just feel like it's an actual test. With Stableford, basically, as soon as you get past double bogey or net double bogey, you just put a 0 down. So it doesn't matter whether you took 7 or 10, you get the same score. So
interesting.
That's why I don't like it. But if I had to pick, match play every time because I am excellent at getting people. So and match play is about playing the other guy, not the course. So
yeah, it's all mental. How about some money games? You play some money games over there?
Yeah, look, we normally keep it pretty straightforward. So we'll normally do, just an outback and overall, like that sort of stuff. I don't do a lot of gambling, like not from any, moral standpoint or anything like that. I just I don't like to lose. So
yeah. Well, like for us, we call it 5-5-5 in Nassau. We'll do $5 for the 18 and then 5 for the front and back 9. Like
very similar.
Yeah,
very
just
similar.
we're not throwing down thousands of dollars or anything. We just friendly competition. If I can take $5 off my buddy, that is so satisfying. Yeah. Oh, that feels great.
Was it? Is it the Lee Trevino quote though? Like there's no such thing as pressure as a putt for $5 when you've only got 4 in your pocket or something like that. So yeah, I'll always try and make the bet a little bit more than what I have on me, just to maintain a little bit of internal pressure. Because I can't give it all away. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You got to be able to eat at night. That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So, again, Dave, so much fun. Thank you so much for carving out some time to talk with us here on the pod. Probably not sure when I'm going to post this, but I'll let you know. Where can the good people listening find you, support you on YouTube as well as your social media plugs?
Yep. So the channel is 4-4 Golf on YouTube, also on Instagram at 4-4 Golf and Twitter at 4-4. I'm on Facebook as well, so that's 4-4 Golf on there as well. I'm not on TikTok or Snapchat or anything like that. I'm too old for any of that. So
yeah.
But those are the predominant, and probably I spend the most time hanging out on Instagram, to be perfectly honest. So that's probably the best place to find me.
All right. I'll put the plugs also down in the description. So I'm really glad you responded to my Twitter DM. So that's nice. Next time we'll do Instagram.
I am getting better at Twitter. I am getting better at doing Twitter. I didn't really do anything with it for a long time, but I'm getting better with it. So
So parting thoughts here. What are some other YouTube channels that you like to watch? You mentioned we're not necessarily trying to reinvent the wheel, but put our own spin on things. Like, for example, I think the Bogey Brothers are great. They're friends of the show. They've put their own spin on the way that they play golf, and I love it. What are some other channels that you like to watch?
Yeah, look, 100%. Those guys are doing things that are well outside what all the other channels are doing, and I think they will be huge. We've already mentioned Dougie Barnard. Yep. I talk to him fairly regularly, and I really, really love what he's doing, not just in his content, but also what he's doing about spreading the word and developing a community. There are some really, really good channels that I enjoy watching as well, like Chili Dipper Golf, Greg Cortman. Who else do I watch fairly regularly? Back in the UK, you've got the Hairy Golfer, you've got Wayne Dewey or DGS. I really enjoy watching his stuff. And I then the Backyard Golfer, Eric, that's in Italy. I love his enthusiasm and his approach to it, and I do talk to him quite a lot as well. Again, back in the US, a Golfer's Walk, I talk to him a few times a week. Because we're doing the same fitness program, so we kind of bounce ideas off him with that. But equally, sometimes it's just to catch up, and really, he's great because he's a hell of a player as well, right? Yeah. So he's a great resource and friend to talk to and bounce things off and stuff like that. Give me a little bit of a lift, but also what you're talking about. So that's good. Yeah. And also Blackbirdie Golf as well. So I talked to Kev from Blackbirdie quite a bit as well. And then of the bigger channels, look, Carter's Golf. I really like his content. He's out in the Middle East. I'm a big fan of Alex Etches. He's here in Perth, in and around the 30k mark. But my standout, still believe he makes the best stuff in our segment, is Fried Eggs Golf. His stuff is, for me, just truly inspiring, because the creativity, more than anything else, is just what goes into some of his videos is what makes me want to keep making videos. Right?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Man. Well, Dave, I love your videos. I love the range of types of videos you go with, especially the new intro. I think is sick. That's awesome. I think it's great too because you can see your development as a creator, getting more familiar with technology, and I think that's really great. That's something that inspires me to be like, hey, I've never really dabbled in iMovie or something like that before, but hey, we'll have to up my game a little bit. So
yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate that. It's really good, and this has been awesome. Thank you so much for inviting me on and giving me the opportunity to talk to your audience.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Everybody, go follow 4-to-4 Golf. Dave, he's the man. Great video, good content. Dave will stay in touch, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Good stuff. Thanks, Scott.